Sunday, April 10th, 2016. 22-year-old reigning champ Jordan Spieth is on his way to his second consecutive wire-to-wire victory at the Masters and his third major victory in 12 months. However, he floundered on the back nine at Augusta National in 2016, and since then, Jordan has only 6 more wins on tour in 8 years. Today, at just 30 years old, I don't know if I can say that he is even an average PGA Tour golfer. So, what happened to Jordan Spieth?
The agony of defeat.
Lapse in concentration on 12, and it cost me.
This moment will stay with him forever until he overcomes it.
Jordan Alexander Spieth was born in Dallas, Texas in 1993. Growing up at Brookhaven Country Club, Jordan first began hitting a golf ball at the age of 4, and the kid basically shined from there. He competed in elite tournaments for junior golfers all over the country and proved that he was another one of those major talents to come out of Texas. Then, in 2009, Jordan took the inaugural first step for most great youngsters by snagging a victory at the U.S. Junior Amateur at Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey. 2 years later, he did it again, this time winning in Washington to become the second junior amateur in history to ever win the championship twice. The other, of course, being Tiger Woods, who did it 3 times. And well, that set Jordan up very well for a future in golf. So it just makes sense that his next step was to go on to college, just like every other American kid, and man, did he have the pick of the litter. So with that, Jordan made a move to the University of Texas at Austin, and there, Jordan excelled, helping the team lift the 2012 NCAA championship with a win in the final against longtime friend and future competitor on tour, Justin Thomas. While he was there, Jordan also led the team in his scoring average and was named the All-Big 12 team, Big 12 Freshman Player of the Year, and Player of the Year, and earning All-American honors while he was at it. That year, Jordan earned a spot in the US Open and flew to 21st in the rankings on Sunday to come away with a low amateur victory and was crowned the #1 amateur in the entire world that week after Patrick Cantlay decided to turn pro soon after. But then, after failing to advance through Q School at the end of the year, Spieth opted to turn professional, teaming up with Under Armour in January of 2013 before earning an exemption spot in most of the tournaments for that season. For most guys on the PGA Tour in their first year, they tend to struggle to make cuts and stay consistent, as we learned about Bryson DeChambeau in my last video, but Jordan was much different. In fact, he was really solid. He made 18 of 23 cuts with 1 win, 9 top 10s, and walked away with nearly $4 million in purse earnings, in part to a second place finish in the Tour Championship in September. It is not easy, maybe impossible, for young players to be as good as Jordan Spieth was because his name was right up there with all of the best, but it's so much more difficult for professionals to maintain success across a very long period of time, and I think a large part of that is mental strength and ability, and it's just as important as any other part of your game, in my opinion. It's very much so the same actually for me trying to write the best stories I can, as well as anybody just trying to be the best version of themselves. And honestly, I've found that therapy can be a huge help in breaking through pressure barriers to achieving my goals, and that is where BetterHelp, today's sponsor, comes in. BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that makes it super easy to connect with a licensed therapist who can help you work with whatever challenges you're facing. They have over 30,000 therapists with tons of experience in dealing with all kinds of issues, including the unique pressures that come with wanting to excel in whatever you're doing, be it winning the US Open or getting that promotion at work or anything else. And the best part is, you can access therapy from the comfort of your own home on your own schedule, and it's easy for you. If you're struggling with pressure to be whatever the best version of yourself is, like I often do, I highly recommend giving BetterHelp a try. Go to betterhelp.com/RoluGolf or select Rolu Golf at sign up for a special discount off your first month of therapy. But now back to the rise of Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth finished his first year on tour ranked 22nd in the world. Today, it's similar to what we saw from Ludwig Oberg last year as he finished 29th. He was the up-and-coming star then, and in 2014, it just got brighter. More cuts made, more top 10 finishes, and more of the spotlight, making the Ryder Cup team to become the youngest American competitor in over 85 years. However, the season was highlighted by something remarkable, with an incredibly promising Masters run. The 20-year-old Jordan Spieth went into Sunday as the joint leader with Bubba Watson, hoping to take another title from Tiger and become the youngest winner in Masters history. But he didn't have his best round that day. With 4 bogeys and 4 birdies, it wouldn't be enough to keep pace with a firing Bubba Watson, especially after getting greedy on 12 at Amen Corner, where he chose to flirt with the pin instead of playing it safe, finding the water, submitting to Bubba, and perhaps foreshadowing the disaster that would come from that hole in just a few years. But before we get to that whole disaster, we have to remark on the greatness that was Jordan Spieth's 2015 campaign. After spending the first few months finding his footing with several top 10 finishes, Jordan won the Valspar Championship in a 3-way playoff against Patrick Reed and Sean O'Haire by sinking a 30-foot birdie putt on the 3rd playoff hole. He followed that up at the Valero Texas Open with a runner-up finish where he birdied 4 of the last 5 to leapfrog Billy Horschel in 3rd and secure his career-high world ranking of 4th. A week later, still in Texas, Jordan put in another hell of a shift, eventually falling in a playoff to JB Holmes. No matter the loss, Jordan's irons were on fire as he finished 3rd that week in green in regulation with only 2 bogeys. It wasn't just safe golf. It was great golf, and now he was probably the most informed golfer in the world, with the exception of a chipper Rory McIlroy. And then came the 2015 Masters, the opportunity for Spieth to do what he couldn't do the year prior, while it was also one of the best chances for Rory to complete his career Grand Slam. Jordan would have to be at his best, no, probably better than his best, to take him down. But on Thursday, man, did he look like, well, everything a Masters winner and #1 golfer in the world should look like. If it weren't for a bogey on 15, well, Jordan very well could have tied the course tournament record, but instead he settled for a 64. So with a 3-shot lead, the confident and considerate 21-year-old would go out and impress everyone yet again on Friday, 66. With a bogey-free round, Jordan tied a major championship record through 36 holes of 130 strokes, while having the largest lead after 2 rounds in a major history of 5 strokes. Saturday, 70. In round 3, Jordan very clearly still had his scoring boots on with 7 birdies, but with 3 bogeys to go along with them and a double, his lead dropped from 5 to 4 strokes going into Sunday, with Justin Rose and Phil Mickelson in the form of their lives apparently. However, it wouldn't be enough to stop Jordan. Sunday, 70. With a comfortable 2-under round, Spieth's score of 18 under matched 21-year-old Tiger's 18 under from 1997 to become the 2015 Masters champion. Not even 4 bogeys, one of them being on 12, could stop this man, but taking a look at his numbers from the tournament, it paints a very interesting story about his abilities that week. During that tournament at Augusta, Jordan was 44th in driving distance, 20th in driving accuracy, 3rd in green in regulation, but 1st in putts per green in regulation. His short game and his putting was off the charts that season, and honestly, he needed it to be. Spieth was starting pretty far back on a lot of holes because of his lack of distance. And when you compare that with the man whose record he matched, Tiger Woods from 1997, his ball striking and short game becomes all the more impressive. Tiger averaged 323 yards off the tee that year at Augusta, on a shorter track as the course hadn't yet been Tiger-fied. Now, we know great players don't have to have insane length, but the guys who tend to have repeat wins in majors and remain on the top, well, they tend to be pretty good at that. Think Rory, Dustin Johnson, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer as well. All of those guys were long, but this world #1 now, well, he was different and would have to prove that his short game was enough to get him in that conversation throughout the remainder of the year, and it would.
Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth is the most popular man in the world right now.
This really is the beginning for Jordan Spieth.
I'm buying. If we're selling, I'm buying.
In the following 6 tournaments, Spieth had 5 top 30 finishes and 2 ending in the top 3, setting himself well on his way to the US Open at Chambers Bay.
I mean, the man who designed this golf course had to have one leg shorter than the other. It's hard to believe that you see a man miss the green by 1 yard and the ball ends up 50 yards down in the rough.
Yeah, that quote from Gary Player goes on for another 2 minutes, but his reaction perfectly exemplifies the energy around that tournament that year, as the greens were said to be putting like broccoli, with the quirky course making much of the headlines, but those wouldn't be the only stories being told. And for Jordan Spieth, well, he put himself in a very good position to tell his own story, one that feels very similar to the 2024 US Open. On Thursday, Jordan walked out onto the wonky course and whacked a 68, placing him just 3 strokes back of Henrik Stenson and one of the other great up-and-coming players of the year, Dustin Johnson, as they both carded a 65. On Friday, Spieth played very well again, dropping a 67 to swing him to 5 under, and the co-leader has 3 bogeys on the last 5 holes, dropped Dustin Johnson to 1 back of the leaders, Spieth and ever-present Patrick Reed. On Saturday, only 6 players would card under par rounds, with vertigo-stricken Jason Day somehow coming in with the lowest round of 68 to move into a 4-way tie for the lead, with Brandon Grace, Dustin Johnson, and Jordan Spieth at 4 under. Moving into Sunday, Jordan Spieth did not have his best game. His putts didn't fall the way he wanted, as many people probably felt that week due to the condition of the greens, and so Jordan would need some other parts of his game to step up if he really wanted to win, and they would. He struck the ball pretty well when it really mattered, and to be fair, made some very clutch putts in the process, including a 25-footer for birdie on 16 before subsequently 3-putting for a double on 17 to drop into a tie for first. Then on 18, a perfect drive and iron shot set him up for a fantastic birdie look, which of course he holed, sending him into the clubhouse as the leader. However, he had Dustin Johnson hard on his heels, and after 2 fantastic shots on 18 as well, Jordan could do nothing but watch as an eagle putt was the only thing standing between DJ and the US Open trophy. However, it wasn't meant to be. He missed the eagle putt to win, and then with a chance to push the tournament to a Monday playoff, he missed what was a layup at the time, giving Jordan the title. That day, he became the youngest male player since Gene Sarazen in 1922 to win multiple majors before turning 22, and the first since Tiger Woods in 2002 to win the first 2 legs of the Grand Slam. If Jordan Spieth's year had ended there, it could have gone right into the record books with those guys, but the way it ended put this year for Jordan Spieth right alongside, and dare I say, above all but one of Tiger Woods' near misses of the Grand Slam. Immediately following the US Open, Spieth won the John Deere Classic in a playoff, yet again showing those clutch genes, that ability to turn it on when it mattered the most, and walked into the most legendary venue of golf for the Open Championship as Vegas's favorite, and mine too, 67, 72, 66. With a remarkable third round, Jordan found himself in sole second place, just 1 stroke back of the 3 co-leaders, and very well positioned to make a run for a playoff, and maybe even a victory on Sunday. But going into 18 on the final round, well, it would take a birdie to push him into a playoff for the Claret Jug, but he wasn't able to capitalize on a good drive with 108 yards for his approach, leaving it up to a very long putt into a strong incline to make it, and it wouldn't be, as it slipped just inches away from the cup. He gave it a chance to go in from that gully, the so-called Valley of Sin, on 18 at St. Andrews, failing to match Ben Hogan for his Triple Crown. But hey, I don't think many were too upset about that, including Jordan. He put in a very good performance, putt pretty well, but just couldn't get it done. So he would settle for a joint 4th place finish, which added on to the rest of the year makes the entire season all the more impressive. Jordan would come in 2nd in the PGA Championship that same year, honestly playing incredible golf and deserving of a win in and of itself if it weren't for Jason Day having the tournament of his life. But oh yeah, Jordan Spieth walked away with a Tour Championship just over a month later, cementing this as easily one of the greatest years of golf ever for someone who just turned 22. With a new year came 4 more chances for Jordan Spieth to win some majors and reinforce his name along all the great golfers of all time. And during the 2016 Masters, it seemed like he was gonna do that. On Thursday, one of the most difficult days in recent Masters history, where the scoring average for the field was over 74, well, Jordan dropped a 66, cementing a small lead that would hold up again on Friday despite a 74. Not even 4 bogeys and a double could take him down, even with Rory McIlroy flying up the leaderboard, ending the day just 1 stroke behind Spieth. Then on Saturday, well, a great story would unfold, where Jordan finished in the lead at Augusta National for the 7th consecutive round while playing fine golf in very difficult conditions again. Sunday. I don't think anyone could have hoped for a better front nine than Jordan had that afternoon. With 5 birdies, Jordan's score flew to a 7 under par, putting him 5 strokes ahead of Englishman Danny Willett going into the back 9. Now, we know as golfers, no lead is invincible, but man, I'm sure viewers from all over the world felt that this tournament was over, considering just how good Jordan Spieth had been over the past year, but he lost everything that day. After 2 consecutive bogeys on 10 and 11, Jordan made his way to the par 3 12th hole where his round went to die. With a quadruple bogey, Spieth was now 1 behind Willett with 6 holes to play and would never recover from that. And to say he's been disappointing since that day, well, that would be an understatement. Since the 2016 Masters, Jordan has only 6 more wins on the PGA Tour in 8 years. Now, one of those wins is a major championship victory, winning the Open Championship in 2017. But since then, he only has 2 wins on tour and is struggling to make cuts right now. So why is that? Well, one of the reasons might just be his mental game. While he was coming up through the youth ranks, Jordan's coaches and teammates praised his ability to dictate the outcome of a tournament just based off his fight and hunger to win and compete. Maybe that's what helped him win and constantly compete for all of those trophies in just his 2nd full season on tour. But we really haven't seen that since the 2016 Masters, at least consistently. I could see that debilitating loss like we saw from him on number 12 at Augusta in 2016 doing some damage to a guy. However, the underlying numbers of his game also help us sketch out exactly what has gone on to Jordan Spieth's ability over the past few years on the course. His putting, what I've been emphasizing as his greatest attribute, has been up and down like crazy throughout his career. Taking a look at his strokes gain breakdown, the lower the better here in this ranking. We see that there wasn't really enough consistency to carry his game with just his putting. Sometimes he was great and hold great putts, with his impeccable lag putting being the real key to his abilities during that 14-15 season, but it hasn't all been there enough, which may have sort of infected the rest of his play because it doesn't get any better from there. Jumping over to his iron play, we can look at his ranking on tour for play approaching the green to get an idea of what else has gone wrong in his game. Again, the lower the better, but we see that there is very little consistency with his ranking and therefore his ability on average throughout the PGA Tour season. To speculate on why this went bad or what could have gone wrong here, it may have had something to do with him trying to gain more distance with his swing, because even from the start of his game, not only has he been one of the shortest hitters on tour, but he's also been pretty inaccurate, which is obvious when we look at his strokes gained off the tee. Probably his most consistent stat because it's consistently not great, except surprisingly this year. Now, if we look at all these graphs together, the only time these stats were all good at once was really just the 14-15 season. There are a few other stats we can look at, but they all pretty much tell the same story. Complete and utter lack of consistency. The wild thing to me is that since the Open Championship in 2017, he hasn't been able to find enough consistency just a couple times in majors at all. Sometimes guys can just put it together in certain tournaments and win, like Y.E. Yang at the 2009 PGA Championship. But for Jordan, he hasn't been able to do that. Now, Spieth does have one thing that a lot of golfers that have been at the top at one point and then faltered don't have, and that's time. Jordan is only 30, right there, still technically in a golfer's prime, so he could still find it again, but I'm not sure he will. He seems to be putting his driving abilities together a little bit, but the rest of his game is not improving enough to justify me really putting any confidence in him, but that doesn't mean I want to see him fail either. So, do you think he can do it? Maybe win another major? Complete the career Grand Slam? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and jump on over to this one about the truth of the rise of Bryson DeChambeau. Thank you for watching.